Hey guys, Joey Ryan Pool Player Podcast. Day one of Mosconi is in the books, and I wanted to get this video out to share with you 5 takeaways that I have from the Mosconi Cup. I also had the privilege of sitting in on the post-day press conference, Zoom conference, where I had the opportunity to ask Jeremy, Alex, Kaci, and Shane Van Boening a question or two. And I think you guys might want to see that. I got permission from Matchroom to release that. So I'm going to go ahead and share that with you. But before I do, let me share my 5 takeaways. I try to, after the event today, I actually had to go out and hit some balls. I don't know if you're anything like me, but that's the way I kind of process things sometimes. And it was just, the day was a little overwhelming. There was so much that happened. And, I just got out there and I hit some balls to kind of clear my mind. And these 5 things kind of came up that, were different than a lot of what I had heard today. And so I wanted to share those with you. The first is that the first team that really masters the break is probably going to win this thing. If you watch today, tons of dry breaks, tons of no shot on the one ball afterwards. The Rackers weren't doing them any favors either. I noticed a couple times that the Rackers weren't getting up over the one ball and looking down directly. If you don't see whether the one and the balls behind it are frozen and those balls behind it are frozen in the 9, it's really impossible to create a good rack there. And so I have a feeling there were some gaps in there, and not just that they weren't making the corner ball or the one on the side, but there were actually racks where when they struck the balls, you could tell it was a bad rack. I mean, it just didn't spring to life the way it should when you have these world-class players who are also world-class breakers hitting the balls. It shouldn't kind of collapse and cave in on itself. And there were a few times where that happened. You can even tell from the sound of it. And so once they figured this out, there were a few players that did break pretty good. I think Sky may have broke pretty good. Chris Robinson actually broke pretty good. And I think there were a couple guys who I know Fedor hit a couple good breaks. And so once they kind of dial that in, Shane had 2 really nice breaks, his last 2 break and runs. Once they dial that in and kind of share that knowledge with their team, that first team that really latches onto that and can get consistent with the break is probably going to pull away in this thing because, they're really struggling otherwise. The second takeaway that I have is that Chris Robinson belongs. There was tons of criticism about the Chris Robinson pick. And, I myself, I had just interviewed Tyler Steyer for one of the episodes on the podcast. And I remember just being disappointed for him because Tyler was so great to interview. He didn't want the questions ahead of time, set up the interview with really, like, hey, yeah, let's do it Sunday. Sure. How about if I put my pool table in the background? Just so easy to work with. And I thought he had great advice on the podcast. And I was just excited thinking that he would get selected again. And when he didn't, I was really disappointed for him. But the thing that immediately came to my mind is that, wait a minute, everybody's all up in arms about Chris Robinson and not having experience. That was Tyler Steyer 2 years ago, right? That was him when he got picked. And look at how far he progressed over the last couple of years. And why can't we expect the same thing out of Chris? And so he gets out there today and he makes a really nice out to seal that team match. Beautiful bank shot and got out from there and really was in control of that match with Kaci. And, I want to say a lot of people forgot about this, because they focused on the fact that he overran position from the 7 to the 8. But Kaci got a little fortunate there because Chris played a nice safety on the 2 ball. When he was up 4-2, Kaci jumps it, tries to cross bank it in the side, and actually goes 2 rails and makes it in the opposite side. Of course, he leaves himself another jump shot, which was, pretty difficult, and he just nailed it, hit a beautiful shot and got out from there. So you can't take anything away from him after that, but he did get a little fortunate on that roll. And so the fact that he even got back to Hill, it was kind of a tough break. And, I actually asked Jeremy about that Hill game. And so you're going to hear that in a minute. So stay tuned. But, overall, I thought Chris looked comfortable out there and he looked like just one of the guys out there. And I think that's going to be pretty important for the United States over the next few days. I don't think, I know Europe's probably thinking, hey, he's not a pushover. like I think they might have been expecting. And the United States are like, hey, he's here to play. And so I'm really happy for Chris. I met him out in Texas recently, just nice kid and really dedicated to the game. So hopefully he brings it over the next few days. And so far it's looking like he may. The next takeaway that I have from today is that the best player for the United States is really now finally the best player for the United States in the Mosconi Cup. That game today, uh, that Hill game, against Albin was just so crucial for the United States. If they go down 4-1 there, that's going to be tough sledding. And Shane made a great out Hill. He actually broke and ran the break he had before that. And then Albin broke dry and he ran out there, I believe. So his play towards the end of that match against Albin was just wonderful to watch. And it was kind of cool because I'm watching it here in my studio. And my wife, I had it on the TV downstairs so that she could check it out. And when Shane nailed that 9-ball to end it, I hear her scream downstairs like in excitement. So it was a really cool moment for, the fans for the United States. And, so stay tuned. I'm going to ask Shane a question about that from that press conference, and you guys will hear about that. The fourth takeaway that I have is even without the fans, the pressure of this event is so huge. I mean, I saw comments all day about the shots that were missed and the position that was missed, even by, the best players in the world, Filler and Shane, and so it can't be overstated the fact that even without thousands of fans being there in person, these players know that everybody from throughout the world is watching the stream. And it might actually be a little bit more difficult without the fans there because they can't get the adrenaline. They can't get pumped up. Think of a player like Billy or Jason Shaw, who, by the way, Jason, I thought played really well today, but they kind of feed off the crowd, and the crowd's not there, so, but, the play today, obviously there were some struggles. I think we're going to see that improve over the next few days, but at the same time, the table's going to get a little more difficult because the cloth's going to get a little more worn in. We saw the pockets are playing really tight. Albin had a cut shot that he didn't hit perfect. He hit to the high side of the pocket, but it hit inside the pocket and still didn't go in. And so there was a number of, examples of how that table played difficult. And so we'll see how that pans out over the next few days. But just know they are under pressure. The heat is on. And, so that's what makes it even greater when these guys bring it, And the fifth takeaway that I have is, just hats off to Matchroom. We didn't, who knew if we were even going to have a Mosconi Cup this year? And, not only do we have it, but they've made the best out of a really difficult situation. And, there were some, I heard people criticizing, what about the fan noise? I don't know about this, or, there were just weird stuff like they're waiting too long to walk out. I mean, just be grateful for what we have. Matchroom is amazing. And this event is amazing. It's the best thing that we have as pool fans out there, and they're killing it. They're crushing it. It's just so much fun. I couldn't take my eyes off it all day. So hats off to them. Those are my 5 takeaways. So now I'm going to go into the actual Zoom call press conference from after the match today, where we talk with a few of these guys, ask them some questions, and then I'll be back to wrap it up. Yeah, I got a quick question for you, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I thought Chris Robinson looked really comfortable out there, even though he didn't get the result in the Kaci match. In that last rack, it seemed like he took an awful lot of time on that 2-ball, used his extension, which he probably could have used later when he got out of line on the 8-ball. What's your assessment of that situation and really his play in general today?
Well, I loved his play. Of course, Shane came with it there at the end, but I told him after the match, I felt like he looked as good and played as well as anybody in the room. I thought Shaw looked pretty comfortable as well. But he assessed the rack like I would have. The 2-ball was really the shot. He had to play with a nice top inside from some distance on a slick table, not easy. You can't anticipate getting out of line on the 8. I think he made the right decision with the extension. He and I are going to go over some things that we've been going over for a few months, as far as, not making it mandatory to walk around the table, but, he got at the 8 a little quick. And usually when you get at it a little quick, well, that relates to the stroke getting a little bit heavy. And so he just overran on the 7 to the 8, but I don't question that decision at all. The one thing I did say to him is, we don't, I think it was a doubles match, or maybe it was even in that match, that we try not to use extensions on kick shots. He took an extension on the 1 ball on a kick shot. So he'll get more acclimated, but man, I'm super proud. And I think just like his practice here, he hasn't traveled all over the world like a lot of us have. He improved every day here, getting more comfortable, getting more acclimated, and I think he's going to do the same thing throughout the Cup.
Going down 4-1 would have been really tough, especially on a day when Europe made quite a few mistakes. Did you have a feeling that this was kind of like a must-win match for the USA to kind of keep you guys in it?
Yeah, I mean, I got people all over the world depending on me to win this match, so everything going in my head, and I made a couple of mistakes at the beginning. One safety with a bad shot, and one kick shot that he missed on the 6 ball. So if it wasn't for those two, then I could have won the match pretty easy. But I tried to do the best I can do, is all I can say.
Congratulations on your comeback win against Chris. There were a few strange calls out there. Obviously, the shirt foul and Sky's push that he didn't call. What are your thoughts on both of those foul calls?
By the way, about the foul, is 100%. I didn't foul it. I was like 3 fingers away from it, but
it was 100% a foul. Just so you know.
From the referee side. From the referee side, it looks like it's foul because, yes, Emily, yes. And I asked the players from USA. They said it wasn't a foul as well, so that makes sense. So it wasn't a foul. It's a bad call. And by the way, about the push out, I don't think you need to get punished about it, because we all play tournaments, even World Championships, all kinds. So we know when it's a push out, you don't have to call it. It's just natural. So I don't think you're going to push someone because you didn't call a push out.
Hey, Alex, Fedor had some uncharacteristic misses, but he also had some great shots as well. How did you assess his play from today?
Well, I'm happy they showed good mental game, Fedor and Josh Fedor together. And misses in open play, yeah, I've seen all players miss. It's I think they did really well. There was a very important match, and Fedor was solid, but maybe I was even more impressed by Josh Fedor, because I don't think I've ever seen him play below par like this and looking vulnerable, but actually digging in and getting the V or the victory. Was impressive. I was happy with that. So there were certainly some positives today.
Hey, Alex, speaking of young guys, I saw some comments before the event, about people questioning the U.S.'s pick of Chris Robinson. And I'm just curious what you thought of his play today and what your assessment was.
Well, Mosconi Cup is tough. So what he did do, he showed good play. He played well. But in the end, when in a winning position, he failed to clinch it. It was an important point and a momentum switch in the match, in the Cup, that we hope to capitalize on more. So, yes, he's a good player. And yes, he faltered with the finish line in sight.
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. That's the after day one press conference, which they're planning to do each day. So hopefully I'll be able to make it each day and ask a few questions. By the way, if you have questions, I know that pretty sure that the 2 captains are going to be there every day with probably 1 player from each team. So if you want to hit up the comments and throw out a question that maybe I can ask of the captains, if it's a good question, I'll ask it. I want to kind of listen to what you guys have to say and get that out to the captains and see what they have to say. Some of it's situational, right? Something happened that day I'm going to ask them about, but you might have something that's on your mind. And so more than happy to consider that and possibly ask it. So I'll do my best to get something out every day, kind of give you an update on this. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, share this, like it, all that good stuff. So thanks a lot for watching.